everybody? Welcome to the National Chumps podcast. I'm your boy Bird.
I'm Rev.
And I'm done.
Yeehaw! So, first episode, we're really excited. One thing that we wanted to talk about was top 10 college basketball, what's going on the last few weeks. Then we'll get into opening weekend, college baseball. You know we love that. But first, some introductions. Rev?
I'm Rev. I'm an old college baseball player, or whatever you want to call whatever the bullpen catcher does for a D3 team that's not very good. But absolutely love talking sports. Can't wait to get into more of this with you guys.
Comes next.
Went to the University of Oregon, was a 2-year student manager of the baseball program there.
It's back when they were the Pac-12, right?
That was
Pac-12 doesn't exist anymore.
That was back in the Pac-12 days.
Want to make sure that.
Don't make me shed a tear over here. It's gone. Now we have to deal with the East Coast bias with no West Coast conference. It's crazy. Went to Oregon, coached collegiate summer baseball at the Anchorage Bucks.
Go Bucks!
Go Bucks.
2024 Alaska Baseball League champions. How you doing? Thanks for coming. I really love talking sports, love college baseball. I think you guys will love my elite gambling takes. Hopefully you've taken advantage of that so far. So we're here to make money, talk some shit, have some fun.
Last but not least, your boy Bird played 3 years Division II football at Adams State. Practice squad goon right here.
Somebody's got to run the scout team.
Amen.
Gotta give the boys a good look. Exactly.
Gotta make those boys better. Firm believer that the SEC is the best and always will be the best.
Ridiculous.
But other than that, just love college sports, love college basketball, and just excited to get started with my friends and talk about some college sports.
This is what we call a bandwagon fan, folks.
Amen.
You jump on the SEC train. That's what we're talking about.
I mean, it had to be one of the first times in a long time that, you know. Oh wait, no, it was just last year. That's back-to-back Big Ten football champs.
Yeah, how you doing?
Where's the SEC been?
Yeah.
I mean, they're there, but
Just like Tom Brady in the NFL, who's got the most? Not
do we
not
count,
the Big Ten.
Do we count the Minnesota Golden Gophers around the 1940s?
No.
Tom Brady
can.
Tom Brady also Big Ten guy.
Got me there.
That was a bad comparison.
Got me there.
Bad comparison.
Fair
Just keep
enough.
riding the train. You'll jump off eventually.
Never. All right, guys. So, first topic of the day. Want to get started talking about top 10 college basketball. What have you guys seen the last few weeks? Do you agree with the top 10 right now? And if not, why?
I mean, I don't know how you can go against Auburn. I mean, you had one of the best college basketball matchups in a long time. First time you had a 1-2 meet in the SEC in the regular season. And Auburn just kind of blew the doors off Alabama right off the gate.
Yes, it did.
What is his name? Johnny Broome, that big postman down there.
Yeah. Love that guy.
He's a good basketball player, but man, was he probably making those Auburn bettors sweat a little bit when he wasn't nailing those free throws after Bama's big comeback. But I don't know how you can go wrong. You got Auburn at 1, Florida at 2, Duke at 3. I think those really are the top 3 teams in college basketball right now. It's not really that close.
I think my biggest take on it is Duke, in my personal opinion, should be number 1. Okay, we're talking about 4 or 5 games. They're putting the basketball in the hands of the best player in college basketball. Okay, and he's only going to grow from that, right? 5 games, he's had 5 turnovers with a minute or less to go. Okay, but does that matter, right? When it gets to tournament time, right? Is he going to learn from those mistakes?
Just keep riding the bandwagon.
Keep riding
the bandwagon.
You have 3 teams in the top 4 that are SEC teams, and you're the SEC guy. And you're going to come out here and say Duke is the best one, or they just have the best player in the country.
They just have the best player in the country.
Okay, so now the argument is shifting a little bit, right? So
it's still going to be a really hard team to beat.
No, I don't disagree.
Let's not forget Tennessee's in the top 10. Okay, how many other SEC teams are there?
Well, you got Texas A&M in there.
So you got 5 SEC teams in the top 10.
And
you're telling us that just because Duke has Cooper Flag, they're the best team in the country.
I think so.
I didn't know the best player mean best team. There is no
What's wrong
I in
with that?
team.
There is.
But there's an M&E.
Amen.
I don't think Cooper Flag is playing M&E basketball, right?
Do you hear that he wants to come back next year?
Love that.
I love that, but doesn't hurt his draft stock.
No.
Who cares about his draft stock anymore?
He's still going 1
Like
this
you're
year.
making an
He's still
NIL.
going 2 next year. Still going 1 in 3 years. You're right. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, get paid, take Duke to a national title, and you're a hero.
Amen.
That's all it takes.
There was somebody else who got upset this last week. Purdue. You know, Big Ten basketball. But Purdue losing to Wisconsin?
And they fell 6 spots.
Wisconsin
6
went up
spots.
5 spots. Do you think that's
Wisconsin
respectable?
did go up 5 spots.
Respectable?
I don't know. Now Michigan's the number 1 team in the Big Ten. The Big Ten's a mess. Everybody's
The Big
beating
Ten isn't a
everybody.
mess. It's just open.
It's a
open.
mess.
Brutal.
We would define open in the college world as a mess. Right? There is no number 1 elite team. And when you get to the tournament, you got RPI and all this stuff. If you've got 6 quad 1 losses, but you've got 6 quad 1 wins, you're really a nothing because no one really knows who you are.
Hold on. Could you explain, like, to everybody what a quad 1 loss is? Just for people who don't understand.
So you got me. You're going to have to clip this out.
Okay.
Well, let's just roll.
Yeah,
Quad-
we go with that.
Quad 1 loss, I believe, is defined as, like, I can't tell if it's Ken Palm rankings
Okay.
or if it's just the actual just AP top 25. But I believe quad 1 wins would be any team that's believed to be a 1 through 4 seed.
Okay.
Teams that you beat in there. And then quad 2 is the next 16. Quad 3 is the next 16. Quad 4 is the next 16. But I also could be wrong.
Right. So when we're talking about quad losses, right? If we're talking about a quad 1 loss, we are talking about a loss to a team ranked in the top 30 of the net rankings at home,
Okay.
or they have to be in the top 50 at a neutral site, so forth and so on. So if you lose to a team that is ranked in the top 30 of the net rankings, okay, then that counts as a quad 1 loss.
Got it.
Okay. So the same thing is if you win and you beat a top 30 team in the net, that is considered a quad 1 win. Right. So this is what makes college basketball great is overall these teams that play these hard non-conference schedules and they're playing teams in the top 30 and those count as quad 1 wins. The difficult part is at the beginning of the year, you don't really know who's going to be quad 1 when it comes down to the beginning of March and you enter the tournament and you start to get into these conversations about who is really a quad 1 win and a quad 1 loss. And that's what makes it difficult for some of these smaller conferences is you hope that a school like Vermont, for say, ends up as like a quad 2 win or a quad 3, but if they don't have a very good year, they lose a lot of games away from home, they lose that quad 2, quad 3 win, and therefore it doesn't really count as a whole lot.
Well, shit, I was way off on what a quad 1 win was.
Yeah.
Well, you know, but I mean, you look at it, you look at the top 25, the top 16, whatever you want to say it, the national champion's in there. It's not going to be one of these weird years where an 8 or a 9 is going to win it.
Yeah.
Sorry, but
Speaking
teams
of
in the
nines,
end-
I want to get your real opinion on Iowa State.
Iowa State. Not a fan of Iowa State.
Why?
You know, they live in Iowa for one. As a Minnesota guy, there's just some allegiances I can't do. And Iowa, Wisconsin, a little bit of North Dakota. I can't really stand those guys, and especially Canada. So that's a whole other can of worms. But Iowa State is one of those teams that everybody picks. They're going to go to the Elite Eight, the Final Four. They're our sleeper team to win the national championship. And I get it. Only one team gets to win it. But why does Iowa State keep getting brought up for everything?
And it never happens.
No,
it's happened
football,
once.
Basketball, football. I don't even know if they have a baseball program at Iowa State.
Hockey.
They don't.
They don't
No
have
baseball program at Iowa State. They're trying to reinstate it, though. There's some legislation being passed right now. So that would be good for college baseball to have an Iowa State in-state rivalry again. Because Iowa needs that to boost their baseball program, which has done well over the last couple of years in the Big Ten.
Love that. Any other top 25 rankings that we're just kind of surprised about?
No, but I think you need to watch out for Clemson.
Clemson?
I can't say that the ACC has been too dominant in basketball like it has been in years past, where we're looking at teams like North Carolina, Florida State, Even some years, Boston College, Jared Dudley had a couple good years in there.
Yeah.
But Clemson has been dominating teams. Like they crapped on North Carolina.
Yeah.
They just boat raced Florida State, and both those games, I believe, are on the road. Could be wrong, but
They also
What
beat
are
Duke.
the odds?
And
They also beat Duke.
the thing
They
is,
also beat Duke.
Clemson, they're playing good basketball right now, and they've always had a good basketball program down there at Clemson. So I would be on alert for Clemson to start making a move, maybe to those top 4 seeds here in the last few weeks of the regular season for college basketball.
How do we feel about St. John's, number 10?
If you don't love St. John's and Rick Pitino,
Oh, Pitino, what a phenomenal coach, by the way.
he's a quote machine right now, right?
Quote
He was
machine.
talking about it the other day. He was like, "Oh, what do you think when they shoot from inside?" He's like, "I love it." He's like, "What happens if they shoot from outside?" I want to kill myself. It's like that is classic Pitino, man.
He's always been like that.
He's an elite basketball coach who ran some hot water at Louisville, some about strippers. And not great, obviously. He finds his home again. St. John's, they're doing well. They're in the top 10. They're going to have a shot to be a 2 or a 3 seed.
Yeah.
The question is, if they get a bad matchup with somebody who can play lockdown defense, are they in trouble?
Okay. Yeah. I want to bring up something that we've been doing the last few weeks. If you guys are following us on Instagram and Twitter, is Dunham's favorite. What are the odds? Okay, can you take us through a little bit of your algorithm behind how we go with the odds that we go with, and do you think that's going to translate well into March Madness in the tournament?
So my algorithm for picking games never works out well in March Madness. Okay,
But as of right now, we're hot.
we're hot. We're on a bit of a heater right now.
Can't disagree there.
I think I'm 19-5 in my last 24 picks or whatever it is. So the algorithm in the regular season, here's how it works, right? We have 18 to 22-year-old kids playing on the road. These big Power 5 schools who play in these non-conference tournaments, they don't get to play a true road game until you get to mid-January, mid-February. And if you know anything about kids, mentality and the mental toughness isn't always there, right? First time you get chirped walking to an arena, you're like, man, I hate that guy.
Yeah.
And then you're just trying to play despite that guy, and you play a little tight, play a little rough. And so whenever I'm picking games, right, whenever I am gambling, which is whenever I give out picks, that's my money too. So I'm not just giving you hocus pocus out there. Like, I'm playing the game too. And if we lose, we lose together. But if we win, we also win together, right? So let's take a team, for example, like Michigan, right? Michigan's 12-0 at home. They're also 6-2 on the road. Very good, complete team. They're a little bit older. But if Michigan was hosting a team like, let's say, Indiana, right? Indiana's 3-5 on the road. They're not very good. And so if we get a line that we like, so let's say anywhere from minus 110 to minus usually 165. Sometimes if we really feel like we need a game and we got to pick a game, we'll stretch it out to 175, 180 if we have to. Because the other thing, college basketball, you play with the spreads, the kids will burn you. They do it every time.
They do burn you.
Right? When this guy picking on it back and forth, and he's like, I took that team minus 4.5 and they won by 3. It's like, nah, I took a money line and I won some money.
I try to stay away from the spread in college sports.
Yeah.
You just never
See,
know.
I think it depends. I think it really does depend.
Do you think it depends on the sport?
No, I think it just depends on the matchup and how much you like it.
Yeah.
Like, what's the difference of betting them minus 120 if they're a 1.5 favorite? Right? They're probably going to win by 2 or 3 depending on the matchup. Like, for instance, I took Montana State the other day. Yeah, that's right. It's a school. Bozeman. Go Bobcats. But Montana State, 4.5-point favorites. You know, they got out, started off hot, and team pedals back. And then you're sweating the spread a little bit.
Yeah.
And then ended up winning it by a point. So I probably sweated out a little bit more than Dunham would, taking them at minus 190. But I'm getting more bang for my buck, in my opinion. And some of these teams, too, like, we're never going to get McNeese at a line that we like, money line-wise. So if you trust what they can do on the road at an 8.5-point clip like they are tonight, why not just take the chance there instead of trying to go minus 310 on them?
Yeah.
Or, you know, sometimes you just need an excuse to watch the game. Not that I don't love watching sports. Don't get me wrong. But if I got some money riding on it, I'm definitely watching it a little bit harder.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And some of these lines and spreads, I wish I knew how they made them, because Vegas will kick you in the dick.
Yes, it will.
Every
Every time.
Like once in every 75,000 bets, you get to kick Vegas right back in the dick.
Yeah.
So that's pretty nice. But it's fun. Like, you get all these different matchups throughout the week. Like, we were just talking this morning. Monday's your SWAC action.
Yeah.
Monday swag, baby.
Who cares about the SWAC? Well, I do. If I got $10 right on Alcorn State to win by 3.5 points.
Winner's going to be a 16 seed. Probably not do well in the tournament, but hey, like you look tonight, right? You have Jackson State going to Bethune-Cookman, two real schools. They exist. They're a real thing. And so Bethune-Cookman at home is minus 154 on the money line. 3.5 is the spread, right? So if you go do it, right? Bethune-Cookman's 5-1 at home. So you're thinking, man, Bethune-Cookman's pretty good at home. So let's take a look at Jackson State's road record. They're 3-15.
Brutal.
And so if you're picking a game, I'm probably taking Bethune-Cookman tonight.
Yeah.
154 on the money line, just because I feel good about it. Generally, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But oftentimes, if you end up with these home schools that are really good at home and you play teams that are really bad on the road, generally it doesn't backfire in your face. There are times it will backfire in your face. Like if Jackson State comes out tonight on a 15-0 run, like, you just sweat a little bit. You got to trust the home faves. Trust them.
Trust the process.
And you know what? There's also just some times, too, where you just got to say, screw it.
Yeah.
I'm putting it on this 6-leg parlay.
Putting my whole mortgage
on
my knees to cover.
I'm putting some money on this parlay.
This is not real gambling advice.
If you wanna be like Dunham, be boring, you're gonna make money. Believe me, I've followed the formula last week and I've doubled my income that I put into DraftKings. However, it's boring. It's not very much fun. But if you want to win money, you gotta grind it.
Gotta look off the cliff once in a while.
If you take all 7 of Dunham's plays, the chance of them going 7-0 in your parlay is pretty freaking low.
Yeah.
But a good chance to win 5 or 6 of them, I feel pretty good about that. Yeah. Especially since Dunham's been hot as fuck lately.
Amen.
I mean, I told a trusted colleague the other day, if you take my 11 or 15 picks, the odds of them going 11-0 or 15-0, pretty slim. But I mean, if you want to, you could take all of them straight up, throw $2 on the parlay, and you generally can triple or get 5 times your money if all of them win. But I will say, I have never won and never had a 15-0 or 11-0 day. Never happened ever.
Yep. So you guys can expect to see at least 2 to 3 times a week a What Are the Odds segment coming from your boy Dunham. Okay. Now, talked a little bit. We've yapped about college basketball. 2 really big college baseball guys. You guys love it. I'm starting to get more into it just so, feel relevant in conversations, right? How do we feel about February 14th, Valentine's Day opening weekend?
Pretty true to form.
Yeah.
Nothing really stood out to be too much. Although, correct me if I'm wrong, Dunham, did Toledo beat Oregon?
Toledo took 1 game of the 4.
Toledo took 1 of the 4.
One's all that matters.
You know what? We love a little Mid-American Conference. Teams like Toledo, Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan. Good hockey there, too.
Yeah.
But, college baseball, it's fun, it's exciting, but it's Tennessee every year. Like, until Tony leaves that program, it's Tennessee every year.
Those kids, the ball just comes off the bat. Insane. We're talking 110 exit minimal.
I mean, poor Hofstra. They crushed Hofstra this weekend.
Brutal.
They had 3 or 4 grand slams on the weekend.
How about Indiana State?
I think the run differential in one of those games might have been 33.
36 to 3, I believe.
Yeah, I do believe
that was an insane game.
I will say, the team that was picked last in the Big 12, the Cincinnati Bearcats, roll in to Raleigh, North Carolina.
Wow. Yeah.
And they take the series from Duke.
Insane.
The team who is projected to be top 3 in the ACC versus a team in the bottom of the Big 12.
Wow.
And Cincinnati goes out there and takes 2 of 3 from the series, and they win the Sunday game 19-5. Like, Cincinnati Bearcats played really, really well this weekend. Now, I will say the thing about opening weekend, it's classic overreaction Monday over here. Everybody
100%.
panics. And
100%.
you got 55
Nothing you can
games
do
to
about
right the ship.
Yeah.
Okay? College baseball, long season.
Yeah.
A lot of things can
Get
happen.
get all the hiccups out. Figure out what your starters, what your finishers need to do, right? And then you just see who sits in the lineup at the right positions, where we're hitting, really getting solid lineups set.
100%. There was teams that did that. I think Wichita State was one of them where they moved guys in and out of the lineup, rotated spots. They put pitchers in different positions just to get that feeling and make sure that they were going to put guys when they get to conference in the right spot. Because ultimately what college baseball comes down to, especially in the mid-majors, is winning the conference.
Yeah.
Because so many of the power schools will take those at-large spots. So in order to be in a spot to make the tournament, you generally have to win your conference.
Yeah. I would agree. How about one of my favorite things from the opening weekend?
Talking about that kid from Stanford?
Yeah, the Japanese
Oh.
high school kid playing at Stanford. You think a ball comes off hot at Tennessee? Boy, the kid had 4 RBIs, 2 at bats, just unreal.
His first college at bat was a ground ball to the second baseman that resulted in an RBI. Guys, situational awareness is so
Beautiful,
key, right?
man. Love that.
But, college baseball, it's going to fluctuate so much week in, week out. I think it's just going to be really fun to watch all of these non-conference matchups leading into conference play. And then we'll see the top teams come to fruition very soon. Like, we know Tennessee is going to be in that conversation. Duke's still going to be in that conversation, even losing to Cincinnati. Like, you just got to let things run its course. Everything regresses back to the mean. It's like, yeah, Dunham's 19-5 gambling right now. There's this very, very solid chance you go 5-19 this week because it all balances out. It's dumb, but it's just the way it works, And you always got to watch out for Jay Johnson's LSU Tigers as well.
Yeah.
They always got some guys down there that hit the ball down the bayou.
Yeah,
they might be back this year. They might be back. I'll say the team in the SEC to watch: Texas A&M.
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M got a lot of returners. Got a couple guys in the draft who didn't go. They came back to Texas A&M. Jim Schlossnagle left to go to Texas. A&M is that team down in the SEC to watch. They're going to wreak havoc on the Southeastern Conference.
After one weekend, AP polls come out for college baseball.
It's D1baseball.com.
D1baseball.com. There's no shot that Texas A&M is not at number
1. They are indeed it.
Okay.
They are the number 1 team in America. They went 3-0 on the weekend. They'll probably be number 1 until we get to SEC play and somebody knocks them off. Remember,
could it be Tennessee?
It could be Tennessee, but you got to remember, Oregon did go down as a College Station Super Regional and had Texas A&M on the ropes in Game 1 and Game 2, and just couldn't quite finish.
They can't even beat Toledo right now. So I think Oregon's got some bigger fish.
The whole year for the Ducks.
Ducks got some fish to fry.
At the moment, the Ducks are projected to win the Big Ten. I think we will be okay. The true tale of the tape is when we have those series against Oregon State. Oregon State, very good baseball team in the state of Oregon. They recruit very well.
I hear the Ducks don't like the Beavers too much.
No, why is that? Can you give us a little insight into that beef with
generally
with the Beavers?
Beef with the
Beavers. Generally, it's because those kids who are in state that are pretty smart end up going to Oregon versus the kids who aren't super smart end up at Oregon State. Entrance requirements are just different, and it's you're born into it. Right, I was born a Duck. My mom went there, communications major, graduated from the University of Oregon. I followed in her footsteps. I was born into the hatred. I don't like Oregon State. However, I can respect a program that has 3 national titles compared to Oregon's 0. There's a lot of rumors out there that say that Oregon kickstarted their baseball program because Oregon State won 2 national titles in 06 and 07. I can neither confirm nor deny. I do know that Pat Kilkenny and Joe Johnsante did want baseball back in Oregon no matter what. So college baseball will be an exciting world, and I look forward to seeing who knocks off who in conference play. I I will
So,
also say,
in your mind, who do you think is Oregon's biggest threat in the Big Ten?
I think it's Nebraska. Nebraska has that team. They were in the tournament last year. They could pitch. Saw a couple of their guys this summer up in the Alaska League, and they're just built different. They're big, country strong, corn-fed, muscular guys who throw hard, who can hit the baseball really far. I think Nebraska's that team. Maryland is also in that conversation. And we'll see what Iowa can do on the mound. Iowa has been very good developing arms.
Yeah, they always
So-
have a good pitching staff in Iowa. Hate to say it, but they do. Also, though, do you think the switch for teams like like Oregon, Washington, do you think that Midwest spring in the Big Ten is going to kind of hurt some of those guys who are used to playing in some pretty nice weather? Not saying that Minnesota and Iowa don't get these recruits from different places either, but playing baseball in the springtime in Minnesota frickin' sucks.
Yeah.
There are times where you're out there and it's snowing in your face, and the umpire's like, "Well, it's not that bad yet." I've played in games where it's been 28 degrees with a wind chill.
Brutal.
It's wind coming off the lake. I just, for the pretty boys from the West Coast, I don't know how well they're going to handle some of that Big Ten springtime weather. I think it might hurt them a little bit.
I think it'll be very similar to college basketball. The teams who are very good at home will be very good at home. The teams who are going to struggle are on the road. They're going to struggle on the road. As far as like the West Coast guys going east, I think it's much easier to adjust compared to the East Coast guys going west, right? Because if you're in that Michigan State, Michigan, Minnesota, if you're in that vicinity, if you are going from an area where it's 20 degrees, 15 degrees, and you got to practice either inside or outside, going to Southern California where it's 75, 80 degrees, that's difficult because you are just not climatized to play in 80 degrees yet. It feels nice. Don't get me wrong. You get through warm-ups and you're like, God, it's hot out here.
As a baseball player, 100%, I would much rather be the guy going to 75, 80 degrees than the team that gets 75, 80 degrees. Now you got to go play the Gophers in 32 degrees, or you got to go play a series against Michigan State, and we have rain and snow in 42 degrees all weekend.
It's always hard to beat a team in their element.
But I think you
Absolutely,
got to remember,
and that's the biggest thing I think too.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing you got to remember is Oregon and Washington. It's 40 degrees and raining right now.
Yeah,
Oregon is playing. They're not like Oregon State where they go down to surprise Arizona for the first 2 weeks of the season. They play in the sunshine. No, Oregon brought on Toledo and said, "Come on home."
Oregon State.
Right?
Lost.
Right? Went 3-1 on the weekend. Generally, if you win every series
One
you
loss to
play,
Toledo sounds like it hurts a lot more than
I mean, one loss, you'd like to sweep, but it's almost impossible to sweep
Is it?
every
Yeah.
weekend in college
Isn't this
baseball.
considered chump weekend?
As far as what, Bert?
Baseball.
We call it chump.
Jump week?
Oregon.
It's
Yeah,
week
Oregon.
one.
Every D1 team that is worth a crap.
You're telling me
Most of
Marshall's
the
going to
time-
suck because they went to Hawaii and got swept?
Yeah.
Imagine those boys from West Virginia who still had snow on their field last week, practicing in the snowbanks, going out to Hawaii, and they get swept 4-0. The season's over?
Should have went to surprise Arizona like Oregon State.
They would have been swept there, too.
Fair enough. Just saying. Toledo's on a roll right now.
They're 1-3 on a roll. Wow.
1-3.
Hey, you can tip your hat to Toledo. They play baseball
Amen.
better that day, and that's the thing about baseball and college basketball that are so much fun, right? Like it's whoever's playing the game the best that day. It's not like football where Rice is going to go try to beat Texas, and that's not even a game. Like
100%.
Here's what I'll tell you, Bert. Okay, that was game one of the doubleheader. Okay? So game one of the doubleheader, Oregon loses by 2 runs. Okay? Game 2 of the doubleheader, they set the program record for home runs in a game.
Love that.
So just relax a little bit. Okay?
My bad.
Yeah, relax.
My bad.
Oregon baseball is going to be just fine.
Love that.
as long as they don't have to play Toledo in the tournament.
If we play Toledo in the tournament,
I'm putting money on Toledo.
You'd be losing all your
You're
money.
gonna get You're gonna get like a plus 380, plus 440 Toledo over Oregon in that first regional, possibly later in the year. It might be tempting to take. Just like you never know.
Yeah, go ahead.
Scott,
There's
look
a
at
lot of time.
I'll
home and
take
away.
Grayson Gritzel any day. All right?
Okay.
Or Ian Umlaut. All right? Just
Say
relax.
that again.
Ian Umlaut.
Ian.
Isn't that the little thing that goes over the E in the German language? Umlaut.
Beats me. I'll teach it.
But I don't know. I like where a lot of kids are at in college baseball, like that kid from Florida who they're comparing to
The
Randy
6'6"
Johnson.
kid,
Yeah,
pitcher,
yeah. There's
an
some.
absolute bomb.
They're just kids in this D1 baseball level who are just absolute monsters.
Yeah,
Like you
Freak show.
think about Tommy White a couple of years ago, like, and Paul Skeens just being able to go from college baseball to the MLB level and already put himself in the Cy Young conversation.
Slicing and
Like these baseball players just keep getting better and better, and with the way that college baseball is about to be set up for the next few years with the new JUCO rules, and the level of baseball is just going to continue to increase, and I think that's just going to bode well for everybody when we start getting a chance to watch more college baseball as the year goes on.
Game 3, UFC, Ethan Hedges gets his second save of the year. But he also hit a bomb that day, too.
beautiful.
Just special talents in the baseball world. You're seeing a lot more two-way guys than you used to. Still POs out there, but the two-way guys are becoming way more popular thanks to Otani and all the other guys in college baseball who were two-ways and said, man, you guys can do it if you just put the work in.
All right, I think that's a great segue into our, I think, most exciting part of the show. The Chump Bucket.
Okay, that's where you were going with that, because you got up and I saw you grab some tissues over there, and I got a little bit worried what you might be doing while the camera's turned on.
So one thing, kind of just like the What Are the Odds segment, we just want to do something new, and we're going to call it the Chump Bucket. Today, we have a dinosaur, rainbow, volcano stickers on our bucket here. It will change in the near future, but the Chump Bucket, okay? Any college sport, college basketball team, college football team, wrestling program, golfer, okay, esports team, you really want to take it there, that just hasn't lived up to their name, okay? The boys each week are going to get one pull into the Chump Bucket. How you get that name into the Chump Bucket, you have to do some type of, I was going to get a spinning wheel for it. Like, you got to do you got to chip, or you got to.
I think we just come with like a figurine, throw it in there.
Don or Dan. What is it, Don or Dan?
Mine's Dan.
Dan?
Mine is Dan.
Okay. But each week, the boys are going to get a chance to put one person, program, situation into the Chump Bucket, and they have to back their decision up. Why do they not like whatever they're putting in there? So, for example, our first exciting pick into the Chump Bucket comes from Dunham. Who is your Chump Bucket nominee and what?
The Chump Bucket nominee for the first episode of the podcast is none other than Dan Hurley, the head coach for the UConn men's basketball
Dan
team.
Hurley.
Hey, you can't walk out of an arena say, I got 2 rings. Hey, you can't be looking at fans saying, I got 2 rings. Walk into the gym the next night and lose.
Who did they lose to, by the way?
That's a good question. They lost to...
Didn't they lose to Creighton or St. John's?
No. It was... Who did they lose to? It wasn't DePaul.
No, but it had to be a Big East team. We're in Big East play.
It was a Big East team.
Xavier, Providence, Georgetown.
Might have been Georgetown.
Might have been Georgetown.
Anyhow, it doesn't matter. The point is, you can't walk into an arena, say, I got 2 rings, and lose basketball games. Because here's the deal, right? All of us here are uber competitive. We like winning, but we hate losing more.
Amen.
We hate to lose.
Amen.
Okay? So we're as competitive as it comes. When you are a head coach of a Division I basketball team, 2 national titles, you got to be even keeled.
Hold yourself to a higher standard.
Take those emotions that you're feeling in the moment, take it down the tunnel, and display them down in the tunnel, not at midcourt, because now you're just giving more ammunition to every other building that you walk into.
Yeah.
Right? What happens when you lose and you got fans holding up those gigantic foam rings and saying, 2 rings, 2 rings? What are you going to do then? Right? What's the next ulterior motive that you're going to have?
Say outrageous things again and then get them used against you for sure.
Which can't happen as a Division I head basketball coach, right? If you're good at what you do, you have 2 national titles.
Yeah.
You can't sit there and have emotional meltdowns.
You think
on
Coach
the
K
floor.
would have done that? No way Coach
No
K
way.
would have ever said that.
Never.
Coach K
Yeah.
would have taken his team down the tunnel, and they would have been running gassers in the tunnel.
Tom Izzo? Maybe.
Can't stand
Old
Michigan
Old
State.
Tom Izzo? Possibly.
Bill Self.
But yeah, I don't think
No.
honestly, I don't
No
know if
shot.
really any right-minded coach would do that. I tend to agree with you here.
Yeah.
Like, it's great that you've won 2 national championships, but to yell back at the fans and give them exactly
Dude,
what
you know when
want,
you
what
know
they
when the
want,
absurdity started? When they went to that tournament at the beginning of the season, was that in Hawaii
they
or
went
the
to the Maui
Bahamas?
Invitational.
Yeah.
And he lost it on 2 officials.
Oh my goodness, dude. That was just brutal to watch.
Well, and then there
Like-
was another instance this year where his team didn't even shake hands with the other team.
Like, that's on the coach.
No, that was his brother.
Oh, that was his
That
brother.
was his
was
brother
his
at
Got my
Arizona State,
Hurley's,
right?
got my Hurley's
Yeah.
fucking confused.
No, dude. Like, you're blaming everything else. The only person you have to blame for your team not coming to be ready to play and losing that tournament, you got to point the finger where? Right to yourself. Okay? Because it's on him, too.
100%.
I'm good with authenticity and being competitive and being fiery, but in the college world, you can't go back at fans, right? You can't give more ammunition to what's already there, because then it just adds and it builds and it builds and it builds, and eventually you will see this explosion, and it'll be ugly. And hopefully, it comes not in the tournament or not in any form or fashion where somebody gets hurt or there's fights that happen.
Yeah, especially when you're the adult in the room and you're screaming at 400 kids in the student section. And, you know, I've been to a couple of D1 basketball games. Like, we could kind of guess what those students are probably doing in the
No.
student section throughout the game. Half of them aren't even paying attention till the final possession anyway, doing a whole bunch of other crap that nobody.
Figuring out where the
Everybody
frat
needs
party
to.
is.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, what bar are we hitting up after this game? That's exactly what those kids are thinking. You're going to feed into that energy because you're a fucking crybaby?
Yeah.
That's bullshit, man.
Yeah.
I agree.
I-
bucket for sure.
I think we can all agree on this week's Chump Bucket. But if I'm being honest, I'm excited to get into this. I thought you were going to put the SEC as a whole into the Chump Bucket first.
You're such an ass.
Why do you have such a big? I don't know. Like, you just hate Chump. You just hate the SEC. It seems like, especially when it comes to football season.
Well, it's because they're an overrated conference. Who's won the national championship
Overall.
the last 2 years?
Okay.
Oh, it doesn't matter overall, right?
Overall.
We were saying before the show who has the most rings, SEC or on the show even.
SEC.
Now you're retracting that.
SEC has the most rings.
Regardless,
Actually, yeah.
they made this new format to tailor to the SEC, and the SEC couldn't even win.
All right, look, here's the
Just
deal.
a bad few years. Okay.
We don't have a bad few years.
We don't have the best coach of college football anymore.
That's the point. That's the point. The best coach of college football is gone. The SEC was never good. The SEC was extremely top-loaded. Right? Think about the 7 national titles you won in the college football playoff area, and think about the 7 national titles you won in the BCS era. They work through it.
Who's better than Kirby Smart though? Who are we saying is the best coach in
Everybody.
college football?
What happens when you took away Kirby Smart's best mind, best recruiter, and best defensive coordinator he's had? What has happened to Georgia?
Well, that same offensive coordinator lost in his first ever college football playoff game.
Yeah.
Huzzah! Nick Saban was so great when he jumped in to college football at LSU. First year at Alabama, what was his record?
Brutal.
Not good. You know who he lost to? Some FCS school in Mississippi.
Fair enough.
I'm pretty sure he lost to Louisiana Monroe.
Yeah.
Whoa! Dan
All right,
Lanning has
you know what?
5 losses in his
I'll
career.
eat it. I'll eat it. Okay. But going back talking about Nick Saban brings up another pretty hefty thing in the college football world. How do we feel about Bill Belichick at UNC? What do we think that's going to bring?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Even with the format looking more like an NFL team with GMs, the way recruiting's happening. You could give those kids more money with through NIL, you don't think that's going to change anything for UNC this year?
How long is he planning on staying there? Like, that's what you also have to consider is the guy's 77 years old dating somebody that's younger than my wife. Like, it's ridiculous. He's going to be there for 3 or 4 years, maybe get him to a playoff game. He might be in contention for an ACC championship 2 of those 3 or 4 years, but you can't imagine this guy's going to stick around for very long.
Yeah.
Or is he just grooming somebody else to be the next guy? That means that would make the most sense.
His son.
Is that he's just grooming somebody else, so then when he stops being head coach, he can just be general manager.
Well, I think that's the plan the whole time, right?
Yeah.
It's him. He's got Michael Lombardi. He brought in his son Steve to be the DC. So he's molding his son to become the head coach. His son was the DC at Washington this year, and for the most part, defense was pretty good. So you got to think over time. This is going to be Steve Belichick's thing, and so I think it's great. Whether he wins a ton of games, it's going to bring a lot of eyes to college football.
Yeah, I don't.
North Carolina's got the
100%.
best jersey game outside of Oregon in the country.
Especially baseball.
And they get to where they wear Jordan too. You know, that's a whole other brand that not many programs get to have.
Yeah.
And they have Michael Jordan as one of their sole donors. Like, that's pretty special when you got that guy in the building.
And they seem to pump out really good quarterbacks.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if Brian or Bill Belichick can get a really solid QB in there the next 2-3 years and see what he can turn him into.
Yeah.
So I think he's already got 2, 4, 5 stars on the board.
There's some excitement there, but
Yeah.
I don't see this as a move for something to be excited about in the short time. But if it does end up being he's grooming his son for that, definitely could be some possibilities to something really, really exciting. And I just think it helps maybe even the college football playing field a little bit.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about the SEC and the Big Ten. It kind of feels like there's only 2 conferences right now. No disrespect to the Big 12 or the ACC, but you know the only one that was there was
The grinders.
Arizona State.
Yeah.
I think
The grinders of the
I also think as
college
long
world.
as Dabo Swinney's at Clemson and now he's using the portal and they're using NIL a little bit, right? God finally talked him into doing it, which is great because it's going to make Clemson more competitive, right? Like the days of Trevor Lawrence, Sean Watson, Taj Boyd, like those days they're going to be coming back, and Clemson fans have to be excited. They're probably going to run the ACC for a little bit. The SMU thing was fun, and maybe that can continue. Miami is going to continue to be 9-3 and 10-2, as long as clock issues is still going to be a thing with Mario Cristobal. And so, I think I love where the SEC's at with these high-profile coaches. They got to catch up to where the Big Ten is at. The Big 12 would be fun as Kenny Dillingham continues to mold Arizona State. I love Dillingham's energy, and I love what he's doing down in Tempe.
You got Coach Prime up here in Boulder. You know, like there's the college game is starting to really rival professional sports here a little bit.
Let's get closer.
Like college basketball and the NBA. You think about a kid like Cooper Flagg, who'd be no doubt #1 pick most likely. There might be some French or EuroLeague guy out there that people got their eyes on too, but he's considering staying at Duke because it's a better game.
Yeah.
You've been saying it for years now, Dunham. It's a better product.
It's a better product.
And college baseball, like there's a lot of excitement there. MLB has been, you know, kind of on the opposite side of the NBA, where you can kind of see the MLB starting to, you know, make face again, being one of the better, you know, products to watch out there as far as professional sports go. But you also have a guy like Shohei Ohtani helping you out there, where college baseball is just loaded with these two-way stars, these kids who are looking like MLB players already, and they spend 3 years with the program. You know, you start to really understand where some of these kids are at, thinking college over the pros right away. And I think the CFP is just going to make it even better, even though there are some things they could fix with the playoff. But college sports, the landscape is definitely starting to get pretty close to the big ones up there.
It's about the passion, right? Like for a while, you saw these kids like they were getting paid their scholarship and under the table money and whatever else, and
Coach is taking you out to go see some strippers on a recruiting visit.
And so
now his team's #10 in the country.
So like, but there was passion involved, right? Mm-hmm. We love passion.
Oh, all about the passion.
All about the passion.
And college sports just still has that passion. I'll be curious to see with the transfer portal what happens with that. But it feels like, for the most part, college guys still want to go ball because they still want to be professional.
Yeah.
And I think with Cooper Flag's situation, I've said it forever. Guys who go one and done in college basketball, like Calipari's guys did it forever. But a lot of times it was to get themselves out of whatever socioeconomic hole that their family was in.
Yeah.
Right? Go make money. It's not about being great in the NBA. It's about getting my family out of poverty or having money for my friends, getting everybody in a spot where they can live and thrive. And so now with NIL, I think we'll see that disappear a little bit.
Yeah.
And you still hear guys being like, oh, man, when I was 12 years old, I dreamed of going to that school. And so it still matters to some kids.
Yeah.
Right? The portal's just there for the kids who feel like maybe they're being slighted or they don't play or they need somewhere else to go, or these kids at the FCS level who want to make the jump and believe that they're good enough. And so it'll be curious to see the next couple of years what college sports looks like.
So I think we were all in agreement that the future of college sports is looking pretty good. Really think that the whole landscape of NIL and the transfer portal is changing everything. I know that would have probably changed the way that you went through school or the way that you went through school.
Oh, yeah.
It wouldn't have made a difference for me because, I was not very good anyway. So it just didn't really matter. But we're excited to keep doing our podcast for you guys. I hope that we can get this thing to grow a little bit more. We plan on trying to invite some college athletes on, maybe some old college coaches and some other friends as we continue to grow and produce some more content for you guys. Leave us some feedback. Let us know what you think. If you're going to be an asshole, please do it. We're going to get a lot better at this. And it's our first one. Proud to do it with you boys, though.
Amen.
Cheers.
Don't forget, like, follow at National Chumps Podcast on all social media. Thank you guys very much. Chumps out.